Following PowerPoint will take you through some of the understandings of the QCAA ISMG use. On this first slide, you can see what an ISMG will look like. So all ISMGs have various criterion which they are assessing. These criterion are obviously different for each subject, and the number of criterion or the specific criterion that are assessed in each subject's individual assessment tasks will also vary. You'll note on this slide here we've got the performance level and the mark range on the right hand side, and that is where the mark is awarded depending upon which of the characteristics are achieved in the various descriptors. So each ISMG is ready for use as it appears in the subject syllabus. So teachers are not writing these are published in the syllabus and teachers can't change them. And as I said, the ISMGs will vary absolutely in between different subjects, but also within a subject as different criterion are used to assess different tasks, and even within a subject, different criterion may be weighted differently within different assessment tasks. So the ISMGs are always organised by criterion and contextualised for each instrument by the technique and the assessment objectives that the instrument must assess. As the following slide shows, teachers use what's called a best fit approach when using many of the ISMGs across most of the subjects, and in a moment I'll explain in further detail what the best fit approach means. But it's important to note that subjects that fall under the banner of the arts use a cumulative approach, which is very different to best fit. And again, I've got an example to show you in a moment. And then finally, in science and mathematics, the data test that they do, which is one of the assessment pieces that the students will complete, uses another way again of working out the result on the ISMG, and that is a percentage which is cut off, mapped back to the ISMG. So all subjects are using ISMGs, but depending upon the task, depending upon the subject area or the faculty, if you like, how the mark is calculated on those ISMGs will differ. So this slide shows us an example of an ISMG which is calculated using the best fit approach. So you can see this is one of the objectives, if you like, and then we've got the 3 descriptors within each band. For this task, this student has achieved 3 of the objectives, in the first criterion. So sophisticated application, perceptive dissection, and perceptive examination. So because they have been able to demonstrate in their work, across the work, those 3 characteristics, the mark is going to, again, be shown on the right-hand side there. So it's going to be a 5 or a 6. And in this case, it would be a 6 because all 3 characteristics have been chosen. If only 2 of the characteristics had been chosen in that top box, and perhaps it was considered application rather than sophisticated, then the student would be awarded 5. So in order to receive the top mark, which is indicated in the right-hand column there, the student needs to have achieved all, and in this example it's 3, but not all subjects will have 3. So the student needs to have achieved all 3 in order to get the 6. That's what we mean by a best fit. So if it's 2 out of the 3, they would get the lowest score. This slide shows you a real-life example of a best fit use of the ISMG. So this is a task I've marked for my Year 12 English class. So in English, we always have 3 criterion that we're assessing for each task, but you'll notice the number of objectives will differ between those criterion. For this task, for criterion 1, so knowledge application, the student was able to show discerning analysis of perspectives and discerning analysis of cultural assumptions, but their analysis of aesthetic features was only in the effective band. So for that reason, they have been awarded an 8. So they have met 2 of the discerning characteristics, but not all 3. So to be awarded the 9, they would have needed to have demonstrated discerning analysis across the 3 objectives. But in this case, because it's split across the 2, the best fit model demands that the student be awarded an 8 for this criterion. The next criterion is organisation and development. So again, this is the same task. The next criterion, you can see the student on this occasion has been able to demonstrate all 3 of the discerning descriptors. Therefore, they are awarded a 9, in contrast to the earlier criterion where they only achieved 2, which is why they received the 8. So best fit, if you meet all 3, then you're awarded the higher mark in that range. So again here, this is the same task, but I've just moved on to the second criterion, textual features. So once again, you can see that the student is able to demonstrate 2 in the effective range and 1 in the band below. So for that reason, the student is awarded a 4 for criterion 2 based upon the best fit model. So this slide just shows a quick summary of the task we've just looked at together, the 3 separate criterion. So the student received 8 out of 9, 9 out of 9, and 4 out of 7. And the ISMG does need to indicate a separate score for each of the criterion, and then the overall score, which you can see is 21 out of 25. So the student knows exactly for each criterion what their score was, and then what the overall result adds up to be. So earlier you will recall me saying that there, I guess, are 3 approaches to marking the ISMG depending upon the subject and the task. So we've just looked at the best fit model, and we're moving on to the cumulative marking of the ISMG now, which is used in all of the arts learning subject areas. So as you can see from the example here, the main difference is, so teachers actually start marking at the bottom of the scale, if you like. They work their way up, identifying as many of the characteristics they can to the highest level that the student response matches or partly matches. So in the example you can see on the screen there, that's a snip from a drama syllabus, and you can see in order to receive the 4 on this occasion, the student has been able to identify everything up until then. If the student had also identified perhaps evaluation and justification, which is the next descriptor up, then they would have received a 5. And obviously to get a 6, they would need to have demonstrated absolutely everything. So that really is a significant difference between marking student work using an ISMG between the best fit and this model here, which is used in all of the arts learning subject areas, which is cumulative. And the final way that an ISMG can be marked is with the percentage cut-off approach. And this is used in science and mathematics for their data tests in particular. So you'll see on the following slide, the calculation is completely based on a percentage scale. So this slide is simply showing what the published cutoff marks and, the cutoff percentages and the correlating marks awarded would be. So as opposed to the cumulative or best fit approach where teachers are identifying specific criterion across the student work, in these tasks for science and maths, the cutoff percentage is based purely upon the mark that has been awarded. And this final slide just explains further the percentage awarding of the ISMG. So for example, the middle student there who's receiving 31 out of 40 is 77.5%, and then if you look at the table, that equates to a mark of 12, which would be awarded. So for these tests, it actually doesn't matter what the whole number or how many marks are awarded or considered in each exam, because it's always converted to a percentage and then the mark is taken from that percentage table.